Welcome back to Java Basics. Today we are going to be discussing something that's very, very important, and it is loops. So how can we get the computer to do things over and over and over again without us manually typing in a million different things? Now, this is very, very important to know, and there are three different types of loops that we're going to be talking about today. And if we happen to go over a little bit, then I might break it up. But what we're going to be doing today is we are going to be looking at actually, well, let me make sure that I have sound playing on because I did not check that beforehand. Yes, I am, so that's great. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the three loops, and the three loops are going to be called for. Okay, we're going to have the for loop, we're going to have the while loop, and we're going to have the do while loop. Do while loop. Okay, now what are each of these actually known for? Now the for loop is when we're going to be looping for a time or amount of times that is known to us or known to the program. So if I say you need to loop this n times, where n is some integer, well, we know that we know exactly how much it is. It's n, even though we might not know what n is. So that's okay. That is what a for loop is for. So when we know how many times to loop. Now, the next one is while loops, and then these two while loops have a lot in common. Now, both of these times you're going to be using when you do not know how many times you're going to be looping. So, so what is the difference between a while and do while? So, the difference between for and while is for you use when you know how many times to loop, while is not. So, if we don't know how many times to loop, why would we use while versus do while? Now, while can run anywhere from 0, and actually I will use my calculus symbols, 0 to infinity. So, and that is inclusive of the zeros. So it could run 0 times, it could run infinite amount of times. So we don't know exactly how long it's going to run, but that's going to be it. The do while, though, is a little bit different. The do while is 1 to infinity times. Now, it will always run once, which is the key difference between these things here. So a while might not run at all, and a do while doesn't. Now, let's give you an example of each one, and we'll talk about it as we go on. So a for loop, we start off with for, and we are going to have 3 elements in here. And I like to say that they're the starting point with a semicolon, the conditional, okay, and the iterator. Okay, so what are we going to do with these three spots? 1, 2, 3. And I'm just going to 2, 3. So our starting point is going to be our 1. Okay, and then we're going to compare it, and then we're going to run it again and again and again. So this is the way that this will write. So we're going to do int I equals 0, while I is less than 5, and we're going to do I plus plus. And if I didn't show you, I don't think I've showed you guys this in the video, so I'm going to do I equals I plus 1. Now, if you notice, there's 3 different parts, like I said: starting point, what we compare, and how we change our loop. So, in this particular example, let's go system.out.println, we'll just print out I every single time. So let's run this. Okay, we run it. Okay, and it goes from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So those 3 lines printed out 4 times, or 5 times. It goes from 0 to 4. Well, hopefully you guys notice that this is the starting point, which was 0, and we went to 5. So if we change this, say we change this to 3, we should go 3, 4. Remember, once it gets up to 5, 5 is not less than 5. So we run this again. We get 3 and 4. And if we really wanted to include 5, we could put that equal sign there. And then we have 3, 4, 5. But if you can just change those around how you want to go. Now let's say I wanted to count by 2s. Okay, so I just change that to count by 2s. And now I can count 0, 2, 4, and I'm done. So that's a pretty easy way of doing this. If you're trying to figure out how to say, okay, we need to repeat it 6 times, we do it 6 times here, and we don't have to really do anything. But back to my previous example, if I need to do it n times, then n is 100, okay? All I have to do is type in n, okay? So I is less than n, and we're going to run this, and it should run 100 times. 100, or actually 50 times because we're adding by 2. So we start out at 0, run, 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 and our last digit is 98. So it's very, very important to know this because I can literally just change this value here, and I can run, what is that, 10,000 times. And there we go. Now, that's the while loop. The second thing, or the for loop, I'm sorry about that. The next thing is the while loop. The while loop is pretty easy. We can actually write something very similar to a for loop in the while loop. And let's do something like for this particular while loop, let's do a comparative. So let's say let's see if we wanted to calculate how many times 20 goes into n. So let's say n is equal to that, and how many different 20s are there. Now I am very aware that we can use division, integer division, to actually solve this problem, but let's solve it with a while loop. So we're going to do while n is greater than 20, because if it's less than 20, then it doesn't go into 20 anymore, right? And actually we're going to do that or equal to. So if it's 19 or below, we do not want it to go anymore. But we keep on wanting to do the loop as long as it's greater than 20. So what ends up happening here is we do this line, and then we compare it here. If that is true, we'll execute what is ever inside these two curly braces, and then come back up and do this comparative again. We will keep on doing this until it's not true. We do not know how many times it could be true, and we don't know when it's going to become false. So we're going to really concentrate on, okay, this is what we're going to do over and over and over again. So let's do, let's create another integer called count. We'll set that equal to 0. And every time this loops through, we're going to do count. And then we are going to do n minus or equals n minus 20. Okay, so we're going to subtract 20 every single time. We're going to do system.out.println. We're going to print out count. So we run this particular program, and we get 39. Okay, and that sounds about right to me, because if I divide that by 20, I get 29.1. So that sounds perfect. So that's that. So this, so as a reminder, while doesn't know how many times it was going to run. So if I change n to 6, it runs 0 times. And you can kind of see that when I did count 0 times. Perfect. Now the last thing is a do while is great for when you want to make sure that something runs at least once, and then it keeps on and then it has the possibility to keep on going. So a lot of these programs and a lot of things that you'll see in homework assignments, especially if you're taking a computer science course or taking one of my courses, you will want to use this for a menu. All right, and what that means is you guys want to, let's go away, printer. That means that you would like to print the menu once and then keep on going. So what we're going to do here is we are going to have an integer outside of the while loop called choice, and we're going to make that equal to -1, and we are going to print out a couple things. System.out.println, welcome to the menu. System.out.println 1, option 1, blah blah blah, system.out.println 2.exit. Okay, so those are, we have the option here and the exit. Now the first thing that we're going to need is, I forgot to put the scanner in, equals new scanner, system.in, and let's change that to a lowercase y because that's wrong. Okay, so we have choice equals scan.nextLine, or next ent. I don't know why I'm going wrong here. And if choice equals 1, system, man, I can't keep on hitting the capital Y. That's sad. Okay, doing option 1. Boom. Okay, so that's it. That's what we're doing here. So the while loop is while choice is not equal to 2, because 2 is the exit. Now we do put a semicolon after the while loop, or the do while loop here, but it's very, very important to say this is our condition. So it's not equal to 2. So we're going to run this again. Okay, and now we have all of the other stuff there, but it says welcome to the menu, option 1 or exit. If I type in 1, it keeps on doing it over and over and over and over again. Now also if I type in a different number, to also do it again, but I don't have any conditions to doing that. So, but it did print it out once, so I know the user knows what they need to do. And if I hit 2, it should exit. You should signify that with the box turning gray instead of red, and then we are done. We might even want to print out a goodbye at the end of the while loop, or after the while loop, signifying that the program has ended to the console. So we come over here, we type in 2, and it says goodbye. Perfect. So that's pretty much the general question here for while and do while. If I didn't explain things clearly, or you'd like to see another example, I'll be more than happy to do another video on this subject. Just comment below, and hopefully you guys are getting Java a little bit better. Well, have a great